Hey, Goba here, or should I say Goka. Today I'm going to be going through my thoughts on the brand new Persona game, Persona 5 The Phantom X. It's out right now and it's completely free to play on iOS, Android, and Steam. So please go check it out if anything in this video gets you interested. Today's video is sponsored by Sega and Persona 5 The Phantom X, so feel free to take my takes with a grain of salt, but let's get into it. I'll be playing some random early game footage in the background for a bit whilst I explain. First, if you don't know Persona already, then you can still play this game. They explained all the concepts of the world quite well and early on. Furthermore, it's a completely unique story to any previous Persona title, even if it's set in the same world and even if it will feature some characters from previous titles. Now, if you do know Persona already, you'll just get more of the same stuff you love, but on a live service game, so constant updates and content as the game evolves. It's a brand new story and a brand new cast, so you just get to get more of what you already enjoy, free to download and play. But onto my thoughts and just explanations on the game really. The first thing I consider when looking at a new game is the music, of course. Okay, no, it's the gameplay, but we gotta talk about the music later. The gameplay is strategic and turn-based. You take turns, the enemy takes turns. We have a turn order, the classic stuff. But there are a whole lot of gameplay options in combat. Every character has 3 skills they can use with various effects. For example, I can use a single target attack and mark the enemy. I can heal allies, or I can do an AoE attack that works based off of the mark from my first ability. You can also just use a regular attack or a gun that consumes ammo, and you can also call in your navigator with the support button to unleash an ability. You build up to do a highlight move, which is like an ultimate attack, and some of these animations are really pretty. There are items you can use, you can even guard to mitigate high damaging enemy attacks, and there's more like one more attacks and all out attacks. There are buffs, debuffs, weaknesses, resistances, it's a lot. And it's a lot of fun with how many options there are, but it will take a while to know what all your characters can do and how to use them effectively in combat. Anyway, that's a quick and dumbed down version of combat, but it is quite complex from what I can tell, and you need to try it out yourself to truly understand it. And gameplay isn't just combat, the game has a lot of zone-based exploration. The movement is sometimes clunky from what I felt, but it is pretty satisfying jumping around parts of the maps. You have enemy zones you need to ambush enemies in, or evade them, and you can find treasure chests and break loot containers. One tiny detail I like is that your allies sometimes show up when opening chests. And then you can explore the city as you like, and there is a ton to explore. It's a really beautiful place. The crowds are very dense, at least on my settings, and it's fun to just look around. You can listen to random combos, chat with random people, and there's even this mascot that busted some moves. And you'll actually be doing stuff in the city, buying resources and items, going around for quest objectives, watching the movies. It feels like a real slice of life mixed with combat, and it's really cool how they integrate the two together. For example, the cooking system will actually involve you cooking at your house, and for some places, you'll need to use your workbench to craft helpful items. There's even gardening, and it all makes sense and fits with the theme nicely. You'll be able to work at a convenience store, study, and more for various goodies. I don't know how I have the time to study, be a phantom thief, cook, work, and garden, but I will be doing so because it's giving me cool stuff. And speaking of time, there's a time system that will tick out throughout the day and lead to various changes in the world. So again, it feels like you're part of a breathing world. Though with all these systems, it can be overwhelming, at least from what I can tell. There are so many systems to pick and choose from that help you in various ways, and it might be a bit daunting at first. And there's a ton of various currencies, material types, enhancements that are all for different things. You will get used to it, but I will just warn you that at the start, there will be a whole load of things thrown at you. There are, of course, some nice in-game guides and informational tools, but I would recommend finding external guides on top if you are struggling. The UI doesn't help either. This game is very stylized, which is the point. It is Persona, and I love the stylization personally, but you do need to get used to it if you've never played one of these games before. It's sharp and poppy and vibrant with comic-style text, which I like, but again, gotta get used to it. And speaking of vibrant, let's talk about the characters and story. I haven't played through too much of the story yet, but so far it's pretty fun and engaging. I really like the cast, and I like the owl robot thing that turns into a car. Yes, that's a thing. You'll be going around and figuring out why desires are being stolen from the people in our world, and battling some super gnarly monsters to do so. The story has in-game dialogue, like most games where you are yapping between each other, but it also has in-game rendered cutscenes, and it even has anime cutscenes, which I find really beautiful. You have a whole ton of different ways the story immerses you. You got your main quests, which are wonderfully voiced, and you also have side missions for extra fun. Oh, and there's a romance system. I'm on my way, Merapi. You can enjoy the beautiful voice acting and scenery, but you can also skip and get story summaries if you're more interested in killing monsters non-stop. More options for players is a good thing in my opinion. And of course, with all this story, you are surrounded by incredible music. It's got the classics, of course, and sometimes you just gotta stop and jam along. I mean, I'm even jamming along to the playlists as I'm writing this video. I literally turned up the music mid-recording so you guys and I could hear it better. But with a gacha game, we gotta talk gacha. First off, nothing playable is locked behind gacha as far as I'm aware, only pullable characters and weapons. So if you want to play some of your favorite Phantom idols, you'll need to get lucky on their banner, but otherwise the content is all free. There is first off a beginner banner. These are common and greatly appreciated. You get reduced costs and a selector at the end. I even got lucky enough to get a 5-star before said selector. We also have our limited banner, where right now we can get the one and only. And there is also a standard banner you can just pull on whenever, and at 300 pulls you get another selector. And finally, a weapon banner which you'll use to kit out your idols. What's nice about the weapon banner is that you can choose the rate up as well as 2 weapons you can lose to if you get unlucky. And 50/50s are a thing in this game, by the way. But the game feels pretty generous so far, and I know it's launched so it makes sense, but we got a whole ton of pulls, there's extra rewards for a nice amount of downloads, and there are a whole bunch of events, so I'm quite content with my pulls on the first couple of days. There are also a couple freebies like a free 5-star, a free dupe, I believe, of some characters, and a free weapon. I'm sure there's more too. It's always good to try gachas early on when they're giving out a ton of free stuff because it will help your early game progression so much and also let you reroll for whoever you want much easier. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the core parts of the game. There are going to be your regular grind systems and stamina, that won't change. I do like though that you have a pseudo sweep system where you can clear a fight once and consume more stamina instead of rerunning it 50 times. There are a whole bunch of game modes, and for endgame you'll be facing bosses. There is a guild system called Paradises, which are pretty neat too. You can chill out with your guildies with your different characters. And there are guild bosses too. There's lots of stuff to do, lots to learn, and lots of guides to read. So if any of this video intrigued you, be sure to check out Persona 5 The Phantom X. You can download using my link below on iOS, Android, or PC using Steam. I think it will be a blast for any Persona fan, and a great new thing to try out for anyone else. Let me know your thoughts below, and thanks again to Sega for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching, and have a Guoba day.